Welcome back, my friends. And now that we have an idea of what UVs are and how we can apply and project our textures, what we can do here is let's go and create another object. I'm going to go here and I'm going to create now a plane. And now this plane is actually here, but we can see it. And if I want to see it, probably I will have to change the orientation. Instead of being positive Y, which is going like a floor, and Y direction is going up, that's the positive one. I want to make it go positive X, for example, and now it's facing me. And if I hide the sky, now I'm going to hide the lights, and I'm going to be able to see the object. Now, sometimes you want to hide a lot of different objects in here, and if you want to do that, obviously you can just go and click and click and click and try to get rid of them, like doing that. And if they are not editable, you can if they are editable, you can double click on this and get them into the red dot, right? But there's an actual easiest way for doing this kind of thing, and that's using layers. So we have another panel in here, and if I want to, I can just, for example, left click in this guy, and on top of this little square with that diagonal, this gray next to the two dots, and then I can say add to new layer, and now you can see that I have a color in here, and I can go and say that the surface board, I can add it to the same layer, and I can say that this one is going to be added to the layer. Excuse me, Control Z. This guy is going to be added to the same layer, and I can just click on this one and paint all the way up, and I can paint them all, and they can go all to the same layer. Now I'm gonna deselect the camera because I don't want to make a movement by mistake in there. But you can see where's the actual glass. Why the glass? Oh yeah, it's right there. Everything in here right now, you can see it's being in the same layer. Now I'm gonna unhide everything. All right, so everything can be visible again. And if I want, now I can just go to these layers and I can hide everything else but the actual object that I am looking right now, that I am using. Now even the camera, if I just paint the camera, is go away, and now it's going into the layers. Now I could create another section for the rest of the lights. For example, I can go and say I want a new layer, add to new layer. So now this one has another color, and now the lights are going to go to the same one. So I will go and say add to this layer, and this sun added to the same layer. Now I can make them visible again, all of them. And now in here I have my lights where I can hide them all, and I have now two different layers that allow me to switch in between my objects just like that. Okay, now the camera, yes, I'm going to add it to another layer, a new layer, and it's going to have its own layer like that, and that's going to be wonderful. Now I'm going to hide the camera as well, and now I'm going to make a copy of this camera, and I'm going to place it right in here, and I'm going to make it available in another layer, so the pink one, and I'm going to just keep that as a reference in case I made some kind of bad movement with this one. So I'm going to click on this, and now I have my camera, and I have this plane, and this is going to be called now palm. Okay, and I'm going to create a material that is going to be called just the same. Let's call it palm. Okay, and we can call it palm tree, doesn't really matter. I'm going to remove the reflectance. I just want to use the color, and I want to use a texture. Now you know that you can load images, and in this case I'm going to load this palm tree. So I'm gonna go like that, and now you can see that there's nothing in here because I haven't applied the material to the object. But once I do that, you can see that the actual texture is on top of that. Now can you see that there is some sort of distortion around this, and that has to do with transparency that this image is using. I am using a PNG image that contains a lot of transparency. Now here in Cinema 4D, what we need to do is use that transparency channel, which is called the alpha channel, and we have that option called right now in here alpha. I can click on this, and you can see that it's asking me for some information. I want to apply the same image that I have in here, so I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to say copy, or I can right click, excuse me, and I can say copy, and then I can go to the alpha, and I can say texture and paste, or you can just go and look for the same image. And now you can see that I have this alpha. There's a couple of transparency, a few transparency inside there, so that's why we get this. That's what is happening. All right, so we have that transparency. Now I can move that, and I want to rotate these guys, so I'm just going to go like that, and I'm going to press shift, so in order to make it just 5 by 5, and now it's 90. And what else can we do with this? Well, now I have this flat, and as you can see, this texture allows me to, I'm just gonna hide this camera, or I can make it visible, and I'm just gonna bring the rest of my objects, but not the other camera. And you can see that now this can be integrated just like if it was some sort of an object, but it's actually an object, but I mean, I didn't have to model every single one of these pieces. Is just a flat object that we can use as foreground in this case. Now if I click and render this, you can see that it looks pretty nice, and now looks like if it was part of the actual environment that we have in here. Now something that I want to do is remove probably some of the well, you can see we have now a lot of different type of shadows because they are coming in different directions, because we have the blue and the sunlight. So I'm going to take this and go to their attributes, and now remember, shadow, we can go and say no, I don't want shadow, and in the blue light I can say shadow no, sun no. So we don't have shadows anymore in this object. So if we click on render again, I'm just going to click one more time, you can see that we are not getting that all of those shadows. Now the problem with this is that we are not getting the shadow from this object, but you know, right now I am not that worried. Now that's one way of doing this, and we can with this method, what we can do is I'm just gonna get out of here. We can duplicate this object, and you know, we are going to have we could create a lot of different guys like this, a lot of different objects like that, and we can just change the orientation, make it look a little bit different, and we can make them go farther away just like that. And then we could duplicate this guy and make it, duplicate this guy, pressing D, I can duplicate that, and you know, just make it appear a little bit more interesting. So the scene is going to be a little bit more interesting. I'm just gonna go like that, and let's see what we have. And there we go. So I could probably take this one and move it a little bit in here, and so we are starting to, let's start to dress the scene. You can see that it looks a little bit nicer. Now some of the things that we have to keep in mind is that they shouldn't be at the same level. Now if we want to make them look nice, so try to give them a different perspective, different orientation, and all these kind of things are kind of going to break the monotony of the same object. All right, so Control C, that allows me to copy. Remember, Control C, or just Control and pull, and I'm gonna get these objects like that. Now let's go back in here and see how they look, and that looks a little bit nicer. Now this thing rotated a little bit, so probably 10 degrees, then bring it down, because now kind of I'm gonna place it inside the actual sand, and I'm going to rotate it a little bit, because I mean, yeah, you can make it flat but not like completely straight. So that will be something like that. And let's just take a look at the other camera. So I'm just gonna click like that, and yeah, I kind of like it. Now you can select your palms from here, and you can make them go and place them in a different region if you want to. So let's say that you want to see them like this, probably here. I want to make it in there. And that's pretty nice. Now another thing that I can do in here is I'm just gonna bring another sphere, and I'm going to make it 50, and I'm going to send it, I'm gonna make it bigger, 100,000. Probably not, that's too much, so let's make it just 10,000. All right, and let me take it, and I can see that from my top view. You can see that here's our top view. And where is this sphere? Well, it's actually pretty big, so let's make it only 1,000. All right, and now this is our main camera. Let's bring this guy all the way back in here, and excuse me, I'm just gonna place it somewhere really far away. And yeah, I'm gonna go bigger, because I thought, you know, it was gonna be really small, but I'm just gonna go like far away, and then I'm gonna increase from 1,000 to 10,000. That's pretty big, but I'm just gonna send it back again, and probably, well, why not? Maybe it looks nice in here. Now you can see that there's we don't have a floor in there, so what I can do is just click in here, create a floor, and now this floor can has the same, I'm gonna add the same color of the actual sand. And now the sand also, I'm just gonna bring it, and the sand, remember we have this landscape and we can call that sand. This guy, I could increase the, well, no, right now I'm just gonna go and increase probably the scale a little bit, and you can see how it starts to move, right? And I can play with these values. I can increase the segments if I want to. I can change the scale and just make it look more like that kind of effect. And now we have this sea level where I can just make everything go down and increase this scale as well if I want to. You can see how this kind of thing is happening. And if we render now this, you can see that the sun, well, that sphere that we have in there could act as the sun. So that's kind of my objective in here. So there's two options. I could take this floor and create another material, and this material could be, we could change the color to something like bluish, and we can make it be, well, I'm not gonna go with this object right now because, you know, this it's not something that is really difficult, but I mean, I need you to get a little bit more time in order to discuss these things. So I'm just gonna go like that, and this is gonna be called ocean. All right, and it looks like we have some sort of a beach in here, and let me see just how it looks. Yeah, you can see that that's what we are getting, and it looks like we have water somewhere. It looks like an island right now, but it's going in the right direction, so that's cool. I'm going to take just this sphere, which is going to be called the sun. Okay, let's call it sun. And now I'm going to take it, I'm going to create another material, and this material is going to be called sun. And I want to show you something, a trick here. We have this thing called glow. Now I can select a color. The color could be something like orangey, right? Let me just make it, yeah, some sort of orange like that, and probably a little bit more yellowish orange kind of thing, and then I can make it glow like this. Now if I do that, let me just show you what's going to happen in here. Rewind, render this, and oh, obviously we need to apply this to our object. I'm going to apply that into this guy, and now if we take a look at this, you can see that we have a sun, and it doesn't look very pretty interesting right now, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to go to these properties, and you can see the outer strength and the radius. I'm going to increase the radius to something like 100, and I'm going to render this one more time. And now you can see that I am getting this type of effect, but only in a portion of this guy, and that maybe it's because of this square that I have in here, this object, right, the palm. And thus, you know, we have sometimes we can get around with these kind of things, but sometimes they're gonna give us a little bit of problems. So all I have to do is just, I'm gonna remove that, move it a little bit, and let's see that help us with that. So I'm just gonna click render again, and now you can see that the effect is going all the way in there, but still I think that the radius is still not that big, and I want to send it to something like probably 500. And this is just the radius, how far the effect is going to go. I'm going to go like that, 500. And no, it's actually not doing what I was expecting. What am I doing here? Radius, outer strength is going to be less strength, but I want a bigger radius. So come on, give me that. And I think it's because, you know, it's a really kind of big I'm just gonna try this 5,000 because it's a big sun. Yes, that was the problem. So now you can see that I get this kind of effect nicer. Now you have to increase the radius because it's a pretty big object that we created, but the strength is actually fine in here, and probably I would like to just move a little bit this color, turn it a little bit more orangey, and now with the glow it's gonna look a little bit more like that. And yeah, I kind of like it a little bit less orangey, but it's going in the right direction. I think probably that's something that I will like to keep. And yeah, we have that in this class. So now you know how you can use this glow effect. You can use some tricks in order to bring some objects and textures and use transparency in your images. And I will see you in our next class. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now. Take care.